Marineland of the Pacific was a public oceanarium and tourist attraction located on the Palos Verdes Peninsula coast near Los Angeles, California from 1954 to 1987. Welcome to Eric C. Productions. If you've watched one of my videos before or just subscribed, thanks. If you haven't and are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you get notified of my latest video that are posted daily. Thanks for watching, and now back to the program.
See, Orky, the killer whale.
That was me 9 years ago. I've really changed a lot since then, and so has Marineland. They have exciting new shows, including the spectacular High Divers. Orky is the world's biggest entertainer. Marineland now has one of the largest and most fascinating exhibits of sea creatures. And Marineland has created the Baja Reef, where you swim with exotic fish past coral and plants. If you haven't been to Marineland lately, come down and share it with us.
Marineland's the one. Share the ocean, share the fun.
When it opened in 1954, 1 year before Disneyland, Marineland of the Pacific was the world's largest oceanarium. The park was designed by William Pereira, whose work which included the Trans-America Pyramid and the Los Angeles International Airport, or LAX for short. For many years, Marineland was the primary tourist attraction in Rancho Palos Verdes. Marineland was only the second oceanarium in the United States when it opened to the public on August 28, 1954. The attractions of Marineland included the 320-foot sky tower soaring into the blue ocean-side sky at the park's entrance, the splashy acrobatics of Orky and Corky, the killer whales, Bubbles, the pilot whale, and snorkeling the curved faux rock recesses of Baja Reef amid rainbows of tropical fish. Marineland would regularly break the 1 million mark in annual attendance in the 1960s. Attendance began to drop off later in the decade. It was also noteworthy for its Baja Reef concept, a first-of-its-kind swim-through aquarium featuring a wide array of sea life. Visitors could enter the winding aquarium wearing a sea mask and a snorkel and swim with the fish and the sharks. Marineland also contained educational and research facilities in addition to its unique entertainment structures. Marineland was home to Orky and Corky, two of the most famous orcas on exhibit at any oceanarium at the time. They should not be confused with the original Orky and Corky, which did not live long in captivity and had no calves. Marineland had harbor seals, dolphins, sea lions, sharks, and a variety of other sea-related creatures. Marineland was also home to the first pilot whales, Bubbles and Bimbo, ever captured for display. With a couple of exceptions, one being the Ocean Plaza exhibit and the other the 320-foot Marineland Sky Tower, little had been done to update the park. Also, Marineland faced more competition not only from the growing popularity of theme park rivals such as Disneyland, but also in 1964 from the opening of SeaWorld in San Diego. The park's original owners began talks with Hollywood Turf Club, owners of the Hollywood Park racetrack, in 1970. The park's financial woes deepened in 1971, and in November of that year, Marineland was sold to the Hollywood Turf Club. The new owners leased the operation of the park to 20th Century Fox, who ran Marineland until 1977. After a dispute in 1977, operation reverted back to the Hollywood Turf Club. In October of 1977, Marineland was sold again, this time to Kroger Company and Taft Broadcasting for $5 million. Taft also owned the Hanna-Barbera animation studio and decided to remake the park using the studio's familiar characters, Yogi Bear, Scooby-Doo, Huckleberry Hound, and others. What I would have given to go to the park to see those characters, or just go to Marineland in general. Actually, I did go to the Marineland Park. There I am up on the left, feeding the dolphins, and there I am on the far right. Closed on October 31st, 1977 for remodeling, and many employees were laid off. It reopened on May 27th, 1978 as Hanna-Barbera's Marineland. In addition to the various cartoon-themed renovations, the refurbishments included the Marine Animal Care Center, whose mission was to treat the wounded marine animals. The park had been doing just that since its inception, but the center established a special facility for sea animal care. Taft did invest a considerable sum in Marineland, adding participatory attractions such as Family Adventure Swim, followed by Baja Reef, where swimmers could swim and snorkel through a custom-built aquarium. Attendance began rising back towards the 1 million mark, after dipping as low as 700,000 during its lean years. In 1981, Taft sold Marineland to Far East Hotels and Entertainment Limited, a Hong Kong company that ran hotels and amusement parks. The company, a division of Warwick International, promised to invest in refurbishing the aging park, but did little more than give it a superficial touch-up, such as a fresh coat of paint. But the true corporate villain of this piece didn't emerge until 1986, when book publisher Harcourt Brace Jovanovich entered the Marineland story. HBJ owned the SeaWorld theme parks, including the one in San Diego. On Tuesday, December 30th, 1986, HBJ purchased Marineland from Warwick for $24 million. After the acquisition, it announced that Marineland would continue to be run as normal, with the purchase having little impact on its day-to-day operations. In reality, the company had made up its mind on a course of action early on, after determining that revamping the park would cost millions more than it was willing to spend. HBJ sent the first shockwaves of outrage through the community when it loaded the park's star attractions, Orky and Corky the killer whales, onto moving trucks in the late evening on January 20th, 1987. The whales were shipped secretly under the cover of darkness to SeaWorld in San Diego. The other shoe dropped a week later on Wednesday, January 28th, when Marineland's management was informed in the late afternoon that HBJ would be closing the park on March 1st, 1987. HBJ's only comment was a press release stating that 2 killer whales at Marineland were in danger, and the park's marine biologists thought the animals should be removed. Statements disputed by some park employees. Employees saddened by the closure soldiered on toward the deadline, only to have HBJ drop yet another shoe on Wednesday, February 11th. The park would close for good the next day. HBJ blamed bomb threats for the early closure, but the community was not convinced. Dozens of protesters showed up outside the park on February 12, 1987, to voice their disapproval over the park's closure and, more realistically, HBJ's handling of the situation. Shortly after the park's closure, HBJ, stung by criticism and bad publicity, announced plans to unload the property. On March 5, 1987, the iconic pilot whale and dolphin statues began to be removed from Marineland's entrance sign. HBJ announced that it had sold the Marineland property to Arizona developer James Monahan on May 14, 1987 for $24.5 million. Demolition of the main structures that house the sharks, whales, and aquarium exhibit began on Thursday, February 11th, 1988, and was mostly completed by February 16th. For the next 2 decades, remnants of Marineland remained. The Sky Tower stood guard over abandoned buildings until its dismantling in late June 1995. It had been damaged by vandals and deemed to be a hazard for low-flying aircraft in the area. In June 2003, Ranchos Palos Verdes approved a planned $200 million resort for the Long Point land where Marineland once stood, 6 years after the plan first was proposed. In preparation, demolition began in July 2008 on the 20 or so remaining Marineland buildings, including its original motel and restaurant buildings, and the Catalina Room, whose stunning location was the site for hundreds of weddings and receptions long after the park itself had closed for good. Finally, the sad last days of Marineland came to an end when the Terranea Resort officially opened on the site on Friday, June 12, 2009. The resort cost a reported $480 million to develop and build. Rancho Palos Verdes residents ultimately seemed pleased with the end result. Hey, if you just watched my video, thanks for watching. Hit that like button and please subscribe to Eric C. Productions.